The slap rang out over the cul-de-sac, louder than any lawnmower's roar or the clang of an HOA fine. It was a crack that froze the suburban sounds of sprinklers and birdsong in the middle of the day, stopping a dozen neighbors in stunned silence. Pamela Vance, self-declared queen of Meadowview Estates, swung at the man she was wrongly confident was merely a delivery driver and landed a hard punch across his cheek. She wore her pastel tracksuit like a treasure against the sunlight of noon, and she brandished her clipboard as a scepter, sneering as if unaware of the storm she had unleashed. The guy she'd accosted, however, wasn't a delivery man. He was Deputy Ryan Kessler, a sheriff's deputy, on his way to serve a crucial subpoena. Without missing a beat, he slapped his earpiece, saying softly, "Unit 12, requesting backup." Before Pamela could walk back onto her front porch, three police SUVs swept into sight, their red and blue lights casting her perfect hedges in an unearthly glow of vengeance. Her smug smile vanished, her gait stumbled, and for the first time in the history of Meadowview, every one of the neighbors agreed. Pamela had gone too far with the wrong guy. The morning had slipped by like any other in the picture-perfect HOA neighborhood. Birdsong sang in eerie unison, and the air clung with the smell of fresh mulch and top-of-the-line paint. Pamela, HOA President Number 3, patrolled on her third tour of duty, searching for infractions with hawk-like eyes. For her, it was not a neighborhood, but her territory, where an angle-braced mailbox or unsanctioned flower pot constituted a sacrilegious sin. Her preoccupation with perfection had only grown greater since her gleaming front yard fountain had been installed. Her so-called Zen oasis she guarded like a holy relic. That morning, her peace was shattered when a sheriff's truck drove up in front of her house, idling for a maddening 7 minutes. Deputy Kessler, a 15-year veteran, stepped out in full uniform, badge glinting, radio strapped to his belt, to serve a subpoena 2 houses down. Pamela, blinded by her obsession with controlling every detail, failed to see his insignia. All she saw was a delivery man breaking up her view, and Pamela, charged toward him, clipboard raised like a battle standard. "You're obstructing my aesthetic harmony," she shouted, her finger jabbing at his truck. "This is an HOA-regulated zone, and your vehicle is a visual pollutant." Kessler, calm and professional, tried to explain. "Ma'am, I'm with the sheriff's office, serving a court document." But Pamela, a runaway train of fury, only escalated. "I don't care if you're nobody. Get this eyesore out now." She was getting hot with rage, and neighbors began moving back onto the porches, steeling themselves for another one of her famed diatribes. Pamela's hand shot up in the air, slapping into place on Kessler's cheek with a sound that resonated off driveways and stucco facades. The street was silent, the only sound a soccer ball rolling to a halt. Kessler never flinched. He blinked, rubbed his radio, and spoke 3 words that sealed Pamela's fate. As she spun around, muttering, "That'll teach him," the first cruiser came around the corner, followed by 2 more. She smiled, letting it fade when deputies moved in on Kessler, their faces grim and unyielding. She attempted to calm herself down, but to no use. "This is a misunderstanding. He teased me with that truck." Kessler, badge raised high, stood firm. "You assaulted a deputy sheriff on duty, and it's all on tape." Pamela turned white. Her knees buckled as reality crashed through her fantasy. The street hummed with excitement, phones recording, whispers spreading like wildfire. Meadowview had endured long enough at the hands of Pamela's tyranny. Her fines for shrubbery that was too high or holiday lights that were too bright were the stuff of legend. Her patrols were daily intimidation exercises. She had once cited a retiree for a gaudy bird feeder and even demanded a family repaint their garage for using clashing colors. But giving a deputy a slap? This was a new low, even for her. The back porch surveillance camera of Mrs. Eleanor Grayson, a former prosecutor who'd battled Pamela for years, captured the whole slap in clear definition, including the rant in the sheriff's rig parked nearby and idle. Come evening, the video was pinging from domicile to domicile, and the buzz turned to gasps of incredulity. The discussion quickly turned to a neighborhood HOA scandal subreddit where they became viral. Reddit named it HOA Tyrant Slap Sheriff Over Truck, and TikTok remixed the slap sound into viral dance challenges. Pamela, blissfully unaware, headed home, blinds drawn, pacing in her sweat-soaked tracksuit. She frantically called HOA board members, leaving sad voicemails about optical trespass and community betrayal, but they ignored her calls. Deputy Kessler, unflappable, returned to the station and filed his report with clinical objectivity. He wasn't seeking vengeance. He was seeking accountability. The subpoena he had been delivering wasn't standard. It was part of a county probe into HOA financial irregularities. Meadowview being singled out for questionable disbursements. Pamela's slap, rather than being a spontaneous gesture, had inadvertently placed her own backyard in the spotlight. Meanwhile, Pamela plotted her next course of action, determined to turn the narrative around in her favor. She dispatched the HOA board a manifesto, crying harassment at the hands of an unmarked officer who had threatened the peace of her property. She attached blurry photos of Kessler's truck, claiming it did not bear adequate sheriff markings. Eleanor Grayson, ever the thorn in Pamela's side, retaliated with a legal uppercut. Her reply, CC'd to all, dismantled Pamela's arguments using quotes, leaving on a sarcastic note. Trying to assault an officer over a parked car isn't leadership, it's insanity. The email went viral, fueling the internet backlash. Pamela remained unfazed, digging deeper into the HOA rulebook. She drafted a visual sanctity ordinance designed to ban non-resident cars from parking more than 5 minutes without homeowners' approval. She printed out flyers, shoving them into mailboxes with desperate pleas to protect our aesthetic heritage. But her neighbors, spurred by her public humiliation, tossed the flyers straight into recycling cans. A young man uploaded a new video of Pamela, once more griping about truck color code violations, entitled HOA Keren's Meltdown, Part 2. Kessler, having been informed of the ordinance, forwarded it to the county attorney, pointing out its potential to impede law enforcement. The attorney added it to a growing file, now including the subject of the subpoena, a resident associated with a shell company which had been draining HOA funds, with Pamela's signature on multiple transactions. Seething with scandal, the HOA board convened an emergency meeting. Pamela, expecting steamrolling her new regulation, marched in with a binder entitled Community Defense. But instead of her usual reign, Eleanor Grayson introduced a county auditor who submitted a letter suspending Pamela's presidency on the basis of a fraud investigation. The atmosphere cooled. Pamela's objections, shrill and desperate, claiming board mutiny, fell on deaf ears. The treasurer, Carl, admitted under examination to sanctioning Pamela's landscaping grants, including $50,000 to her cousin's consulting firm for no-reality projects, i.e., emergency topiary alignment. The secretary showed evidence in the form of emails that Pamela had been falsifying invoices. Defiant, Pamela stormed out, leaving her binder behind. The neighborhood burst into relief, memes flooding social media. Pamela's slap was soundtracked with dramatic music, and her fountain was mocked as tyrant's tears. The sheriff's office issued charges of misdemeanor assault and obstruction of official duties, and the fraud probe went deeper, tracking $60,000 to ghost vendors, including a $2,000 floral harmony audit run by Pamela's sister. The community celebrated its rebirth with a cookout, grills fired up, music playing, and kids drawing chalk art, free from fines and Pamela's oppressive rule. But Pamela crashed the event, disguised in a floppy hat and fake glasses, filming license plates. Kessler, holding cupcakes, approached with a grin. "You're welcome if you're not harassing anyone." A board member handed Pamela a restraining order, barring her from surveillance. Pamela, silenced and humiliated, slunk away. Her appearance in court was akin to a cloud of thunder. Pamela, who had fired her public defender for not understanding HOA law, appeared in a mint green business suit, holding a folder containing X posts as evidence. Kessler testified unflustered, recounting the assault. The video that echoed with Pamela's slap, her growling voice, "I don't care who you are." Her excuse, that the video had been doctored to show visual distress, collapsed when the prosecutor read a post online in which Pamela raved about showing that truck guy who's boss. Judge Nora Hale convicted Pamela of assault and obstruction, fining her $5,000, ordering her to perform 200 hours of community service, and sanctioning the HOA audit. Pamela's hands trembled as she comprehended that she'd lost everything. She had lost her throne and was now being forced into restitution. The audit revealed $75,000 in misspent funds, leading to civil lawsuits. Vandalism of Pamela's residence followed. Her fountain ran dry, her lawn shriveled up, and her house, once a symbol of her reign, became a monument to her demise. In the meantime, Meadowview thrived. Neighbors coexisted, children played freely, and a plaque was put up in Kessler's honor for upholding the law and the community.